I remember back in 2013 when I used to look on YouTube for Gunpla kits, or Gundam model kits, whichever you prefer to call them. And occasionally while Google searching kits, I would come across more detailed ones. And I thought to myself they looked absolutely amazing, but I couldn't find the Bandai kits for them. I later learned that they were resin conversion kits. Fast forward to a year or so ago, I was looking for an Anchor T/Infinite Dimension Sazabi 2.0. They were all sold out. I couldn't get my hands on one for any reasonable price. There was a lot of price gouging on eBay at the time. So I went to Samuel Decal and I saw the same design. It might be the only way I can get one. I'm guessing it's a recast or something. I looked into it and I saw some forum posts that said this company was allowed to recast this. It's probably a lie. So I picked up the UC K0607 Master Grade Sazabi expansion set conversion kit, yada yada. It's a mouthful. Assuming that this was fine, not knowing too much about resin kits other than they were cool. I sat on it for a while and then I was able to get an official kit much later from New Type HQ, thankfully, because these damn things stay sold out. Any of the reputable resin dealers like Musigen Hobby, if they get them in, they're gone before you get the notification that they're in. Now, in 2020, I decided to give building this a shot. I mean, I've gotten a number of resin conversion kits as gifts, and I've bought some myself, and I felt it was time to challenge myself, to push myself to a new level of painting. So, instead of working on my official Anchor T kit and making mistakes and then getting extremely upset because the official kit is quite expensive, the body alone is $130. The expansion backpack and leg kit is an extra $72. Now you add in the $60 to $70 for shipping, plus you're probably going to need the decals, at least those are cheap, they're $8. The official metal parts is another $52.99, and then once again you have to pay extra for shipping because the box is now getting bigger. Then you have to buy the official Bandai kit on top of that, which is another $100 and some bucks. Long story short, it adds up. Instead of working on my official kit, I decided to start tinkering on the UC version. This was a very odd journey in the sense of the UC recast is subpar. I would highly encourage you, if you're interested in resin kits, to buy from reputable dealers. New Type HQ also sells them. And there is a bit of a price premium, probably an extra $70 or so added to the overall price of everything. That's pretty much business. They have to turn some sort of profit. You understand that. Get mad if you want, but usually we're paying price premiums for everything when it comes to Gundam model kits, even the official P Bandai stuff, if you buy through any of the Gundam vendors. Before starting the resin kit build, I did do my research. I also decided to experiment with things because, frankly, this was a prime time for experimentation, simply because, one, it's a kit I didn't care about, and two, it's time I learned it. Now, there are a multitude of things you have to do to prepare yourself to paint a resin kit. I'm not going to go through it all here, but the long and the short of it is, first, you have to soak these resin pieces in a chemical base, something that will remove all the oils, and the mold release is usually what you have to deal with the most to get the parts out of the silicone rubber molds, so on and so forth. I tried the Gaia Notes resin kit wash this time. I'm not really impressed with it. It's fairly expensive for a small dose. I think I'm probably going to go back to Purple Power because for half the price, I have so much Purple Power, it's absolutely ridiculous. And on top of that, with Purple Power, I can use it on stuff around the house if I need to. But the trade-off with the Gaia Notes resin wash is that it's less time, like 30 minutes, I believe, is all you need supposedly. But I'm going to say this, I did run into a lot of chipping of paint very easily in a lot of places, which would lead me to assume, not that great. I mean, how can you mess up letting it soak and then washing it in soap and water, then rinsing it? I mean, really, it's not brain surgery here, but something's going wrong. So, on the next resin kit I work on, back to Purple Power, see how things go. Now, after you've washed your resin kits, you can move towards priming them. What everyone uses is the tried and true Mr. Surfacer 1000 for resin builds. It's like everyone's go-to. I did use it for most of this kit, and then I also switched to Gaia Notes Evo because supposedly this stuff works on garage kits. That's what the label says. I'm kind of mixed on it. I can't seem to find if it's better or worse or even. So I'm going to have to get some other trash resin kit to use for parts simply to test the primers on, to get a better feel for it, because I feel I haven't learned enough. But you're not here to watch me spray paint primer on resin parts. You're here to look at this kit, and let's get to that. The overall kit itself, even though it has a litany of problems, is nice to look at, and that's simply because it's a recast of a piece of art. The Anchor T/Infinite Dimensions 1.0 and 2.0 Sazabi are arguably one of the most popular master grade conversion kit on the market. As I stated before, they're hard to get a hold of the official ones. Right now, the only way you can get these is either off of eBay from a seller that, there's only like 2 sellers I trust on eBay. Everybody else, man, will sell you like a recast. And New Type HQ. That's how much demand there is for these. If you were to get official ones, even on eBay, it'd still be very expensive, if not more so than on Musegen Hobby or Musegen Hobby. I don't know how to say it. But despite the looks of this kit and the work I've put into it, which in all honesty, I'm going to level with you, I was not going all out on this kit at all. My overall goal with this was to learn how to paint resin somewhat proficiently. So I was more concerned with paint sticking rather than it looking absolutely and utterly immaculate. And even if I tried to paint this to the best of my ability, frankly, it wouldn't be worth the hassle because this recast has so many warped pieces, it is absolutely appalling. The level of work you have to put in to make this even fit most areas truly is not worth the money you save buying a cheap recast of an official Anchor T kit. I can't stress that enough. The money you save on this will fly out the window with all the time and energy you need to actually make these components fit. Luckily for me, I already bought a dentist drill for my mother who never used it, so after my Dremel was too powerful, I went to her place and took the damn thing back because she wasn't using it. And I then found myself meticulously drilling out so many areas with precision just to get it to fit. If you see any shaking in the video, it's because my dog was running around like an absolute nutcase. I had to put so much effort into cleaning up parts just for most of them to fit. And even if I did get them to kind of fit, I then ran into issues of things being so warped that you had to sit there and boil water, take it out, reshape it, put it back in the water, reshape it, take it out, reshape it, over and over again, that after a certain point, I got so tired of trying to fix warped pieces that I just said to hell with it and just started using some warped pieces because just like it's not worth the energy and effort to try and make this presentable. Screw it. I'll be here for another month or so trying to fix these things. Now, I don't recommend working on trash kits at all, as I've already stated, and I think you can tell from the tone of my voice. But I was challenging myself, 1, and 2, this is just to learn on for me. That's all. It served its purpose. I learned a lot. There's still more to go. So much more. Overall, I can say that the design is fantastic. It is an Anchor T/Infinite Dimensions recast. I mean, already the base that they are working from is exquisite. The one saving grace I can say for this kit is the instruction manual. Surprisingly, it's actually very informative, easy to understand, and it is by far the best resin kit instruction manual I've ever seen. It's sad, really. If you get the official Anchor T kit, it's beautiful to look at, but it doesn't really explain everything clearly. And unfortunately, you need some clear explanations because there's so many intricate parts and so many details. It can be very easy to lose something, not know where something goes, and a lot of parts look very, very similar. So something like this is needed. I genuinely wish Anchor T would look at like the recast of their kits and then just copy their instruction manuals but put it on that beautiful paper. You know? Like, I mean, these guys are already ripping you off. You may as well steal the instruction manual from them. They owe you that much. Another problem is ill-fitting parts. This is just inevitable with a recast because it is what it is. It's slapped together. There's no thought put into the pieces in the sense of like they mold them. And then there's some pieces that have been molded so much that the mold itself has either gone bad. I can't even piece together. Some of the parts were eggshell thin. Like you could see through them if you put a light next to it. That's how thin the parts were. Some were poorly reinforced in some haphazard manner that then left no room for the original inner frame of the Sazabi to fit inside. So there's just so many issues that would just make you pull your hair out. And I cannot stress enough. Do not buy the UC kit. It's trash. The legs are like the worst part. Unfortunately, I didn't film it. I put some photos up on my Instagram showing the difference between the official kit and the recast. The recast is horrendous. It's warped to the point of like no return. You have no choice but to work on it to try and get it to work. You have to drill out the legs so much just to kind of get the polycaps to fit. Normally, Sazabi's polycaps, you know, they're not horrible, but polycaps on any Gundam kit is nothing to write home about. Imagine trying to work with polycaps on a poorly warped inner leg frame. I must have spent an hour drilling the inside legs out, and it still doesn't fit perfectly or properly. Literally, this kit will have to be on a stand. If you get the full kit with the backpack, the resin in the back is so heavy, it just pulls Sazabi down, or it spreads his legs into the splits. This kit will forever be connected to a stand. It turns an already not too posable kit literally into a statue. I mean, that's what you're getting here. It turns the Gundam model kit into a slightly posable statue. If you could live with that, it's fine. You know, like I have no problem. I'm not the type of person that wants to pose these things, but someone who wants to fiddle with their kits would most likely hate this. Since it's a recast, the decals that come with it are the generic third-party Chinese water slide decals that have Earth Federation stuff and Xeon crap on it. They're trash. Man, I wouldn't even use these decals to wipe my ass with, to be honest with you. That's how bad they are. But luckily, since you're working on this, it's a Sazabi. You can use the original Sazabi decals. But if you like the ones that came with the Anchor T, you're not getting that. No. Oh, the backpack. I forgot to mention that. The fin funnel tubes, whatever they're called, they are... man, I don't know how to tell you this, honest to God. They're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. I'm going to chalk this up to the recasters because the whole thing is just such a mess to put together. They're so easy to break. I've broken 2. But luckily, you know, I've picked up a lot of skills over the last year or so. I was fully capable of cleaning up the broken parts and then pinning them to the backpack. And ironically, me modifying the backpack for the fin funnels sits better in the damn thing than originally intended. But then again, this is a recast. I'm going to chalk up the poor fitment and other issues to lack of a better mold or any care for the mold. You can tell in a lot of these pieces, the mold is degrading substantially, and they just sort of recast certain parts or reinforce certain parts, and it just removes all integrity from the thing. It gets to a point of where it's like you think they'd invest in recasting the original one again or something. I mean, you're just creating a bigger issue that you're ignoring. And I guess I shouldn't be giving ideas. Then again, with the way the world is right now, I don't think anybody gives a rat's ass. Ironically, these things are still readily available. The weapon for Sazabi, the highly modified shotgun, no longer looks like a shotgun. Honestly, This one suffers from a few warped parts, like the nozzles for the guns, and I did not care to fix it. Honest to God, I just had it. I really did. They even recasted the parts that I think were originally supposed to be metal. So the lenses are already cast into the scope, and you're just kind of like, you're screwed. You live with it and paint it. I did my best to try and make it look decent, but there's only so much you can do. Oh yeah, this kit doesn't come with any of the metal pieces, so you're screwed there. You got two choices. You scavenge metal parts off of other model kits that you may have tried using metal bits on, or you try and find an original Anchor T set, but why would you waste a good $50, $60 metal kit on a cheap $90 recast? It would make absolutely no sense. This also doesn't come with any of the photo etchings that came with the Anchor T kit as well. Basically, there's not much more I can say. I mean, it's clear as a bell that this is a poorly done recast that maybe at one point wasn't as horrible as it looks now, but those days are long gone. There are too many warped bits, too many parts that don't fit. There's too much work required of you to make something fit that should fit in the first place because it was designed to do so. I do not recommend recasted kits at all. And I guess for good measure, I should give people a shot to see what exactly is the difference between a resin kitted Gunpla and the standard vanilla version. Please forgive the video footage I took because unfortunately the light booth I'm working with doesn't have a good enough ability to control how bright it is. Therefore, at least many of the kits to be burned by the bright light. And the only option I have is to lower my ISO. But if I lower my ISO too much, it then looks too dark and it's hard on the eyes. It's a really unfortunate duality or balancing act, I should say, that I have to try and manage. And I don't think I did that well this time, simply because I really should buy a monitor for my camera so that I could see a more true to picture of what it would look like. I do apologize because I really wanted this to look decent for you so you get a good idea. My final consensus is this: if you're going to get into resin model kit building, then please take the time to put money in a good kit. You want this to be something you can enjoy and look at with some semblance of pride. And even though this is a wonky kit, I still do have some level of pride with it. But there's so much wrong that it did make building it at times tedious. I forgot to mention some of the castings are so poor, the details are disgusting. You have to rescribe parts again. Some parts are just so far gone that they're almost unsalvageable. So you either A, paint them as is, or B, make them yourself. Anyway, point being, sorry. If you're going to do a resin kit, pay the extra money and get the official kits only. The peace of mind and the time you save building them will be worth that extra bit of money. Oh, I did forget to paint some small details. Please forgive that, but whatever. I would say the resin kit is definitely cooler to look at, in all honesty. I mean, there's a vibe there that definitely gives the suit a bit more of an ominous look. It also makes Sazabi a bit taller, which is pretty cool. Like, that added height does something for the kit to make it seem even more badass than it already is, which is saying something, in my opinion. Call me crazy, but I really dig that look. And before you ask, no, I'm not going to do any resin kit building videos anytime soon, if at all, simply because I'm not an expert. I'm still learning. And there's tons of resources on YouTube already for such things. I mean, you really don't need a guy who's still learning the ropes trying to teach you something. It's almost like going to a guy who's got his yellow belt in karate and going, okay, guy, teach me martial arts.